Chaplain, Pastor Greg Fletcher, Deerfield Global Methodist Church, guest of LD Holmes, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Representative Meyer.
Shall we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today as sinners who don't deserve your grace, as you offer it anyway, simply because of your undying love for us. May the Holy Spirit come and work in the hearts and minds of all in this chamber. I pray that each person here will seek you for their strength, whether in good times or in struggles. I pray that everyone here might know you and understand the purpose and path you have prepared for each one. May we all walk upright and noble as we shine the light of Jesus here in Topeka, Kansas. Please apply good, strong spiritual health to each representative as they work for your people of Kansas. Father, I ask that you wrap a blanket of protection around this building and all its inhabitants. As your word tells us, since we are summoned by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus Christ, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. May each person in this chamber be humble in their actions and display integrity while they work. Please give their families peace and protection as they endure the race with them as well. What an honor it is to come here and pray over these lawmakers and to remind them that they are loved and prayed for daily by so many across this great state. May we all take time during our busy days to pray for this nation's leadership as they make difficult decisions for our country. I pray that we all stay focused on you, Jesus, as we go through this season of Lent, taking us to the greatest event the world has ever seen, your resurrection from the dead. I ask all of this in your Son's precious name, Jesus Christ. Amen. States of America, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has every member had the opportunity to record their presence?
Okay, I'll start to try to work on it.
The clerk will close the roll and record the attendance. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 2792 by Committee on Taxation, requested by Representative Francis on behalf of the Kansas Contractors Association, and act concerning traffic regulations.
Messages from the Senate, the clerk will read.
The Senate adopts the conference committee report to agree to disagree on SB 254 and has appointed Senators Thompson, Blue, and Faust-Cadeau as second conferees on the part of the Senate. Announcing passage of sub SB 315, sub SB 315 by Committee on Ways and Means, and act making and concerning appropriations for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2026, June 30, 2027, June 30, 2028, June 30, 2029, and June 30, 2030 for state agencies.
Final action, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill 2712 by Committee on Taxation, an act concerning sales and compensating use tax relating to city and countywide retailer sales tax, increasing the authority for a countywide retailer sales tax and providing for the dedicated apportionment of special purpose tax revenues up to 2%, limiting special purpose taxes to 10 years, requiring certain reporting to the Department of Revenue for administration of such tax.
This constitutes final action on House Bill 2712. The clerk will open the roll. You may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing 10 hands, calls in order. Doorman will secure the doors. Clerk will read the roll.
Neighbor, Roser, Sanders, Slingensiepin, Vaughn, Wilburn, Wynn.
Representative Mosley votes no. Representative Wilburn votes aye. Representative Kahar votes aye. Representative Howe votes aye. Representative Vaughn votes aye. Not seeing 10 hands, calls raised. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote or change? For an explanation, the chair recognizes Representative Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 2712 is, I voted yes on HB 2712 because I feel like it's about local control and voter choice. The bill does not force a tax increase. It simply allows communities to bring a proposal to the voters for a specific project for a limited period of time. Ultimately, the people get the final say. We saw exactly how this works in Wichita. Voters were asked whether they supported a 1% sales tax for specific projects, and they exercised their right to say no. That is democracy working exactly as it should. HB 2712 trusts local communities and respects the voters. If a project is worthwhile, the voters can approve it. If they believe it is not, they can reject it. This bill simply provides communities the option to ask their residents. Thank you.
Are there any further explanation of votes? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Collins votes no. Any further changes? Seeing none. With 108 having voted in favor and 11 against the passage of House Bill 2712, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The clerk will read.
House Resolution 6033 by Joint Committee on State and Tribal Relations, a resolution approving the gaming compact between the Wyandotte Nation and the state of Kansas.
This constitutes final action on House Resolution 6033. The clerk will open the roll. You may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? Members will be in their seats on final action. The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Representative Berquist for an explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I vote no on HR 6033. I realize that the process is set in place for the governor to be able to negotiate a compact with the tribe or any other tribe in advancing to Class 3 gaming. That's understood. But more than this, I realize the great strides that our community has made in growing healthy and strong in the last 32 years since this issue first came to us. This success has been the will and efforts of earnest people taking care of family and community. Signed, Emil Berquist, Representative Steve Hubert, and Representative Steve. Nope. Brunk. Thank you very much for your help. I vote no.
Are there any further explanation of votes? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Schwertfeger votes no. Any further changes? Representative Butler votes no. Representative Blex votes no. Representative Wolf votes no. Any further changes? Seeing none. With 99 having voted in favor and 20 against the passage of HR 6033, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 299 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning courts relating to the Supreme Court Nominating Commission, requiring certain records of the commission to be released under the Open Records Act.
This constitutes final action on Senate Bill 299. The clerk will open the roll. You may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing none, with 87 having voted in favor and 32 against the passage of Senate Bill 299, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The Speaker recognizes Majority Leader Croft for a motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the purpose of considering those items under the heading of General Orders.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. The Speaker appoints Representative Beeler to chair the Committee of the Whole.
All right, the first item of business is House Bill 2767 for the purpose of carrying House Bill 2767. The chair recognizes Representative Butler.
Oh, is it on?
Mike's on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 2767 comes to the floor from the Committee on Veterans and Military. There were no amendments in the committee.
Please continue.
Thank you. House Bill 2767 will formally establish the Kansas Military Affairs Commission in statute, transitioning the Governor's Military Council into a permanent advisory body within the office of the Governor beginning July 1, 2026. Currently, the Governor's Military Council exists, but it's not formally codified in statute. House Bill 2767 strengthens Kansas' long-term commitment to military installations by codifying the commission into law, establishing defined membership and structure, creating an executive director position, formalizing an advisory authority to the governor, legislation, and the state agencies, developing strategic planning to prevent federal realignments or closures, and positioning Kansas to compete for expanded military missions. The bill ensures that Kansas remains competitive in federal defense decisions and proactive in supporting military families and defense-related economic development. The membership will be made up of 13 voting members. The governors will be the chair, the adjutant general, legislative leadership representatives, the Secretary of Commerce, Executive Director of the Kansas Office of Veteran Services, municipal representatives from communities with military installations, an active duty military spouse, and individuals with extensive military expertise. Additionally, there will be 11 non-voting ex officio members who will represent Kansas military installations, state education institutions, and the Kansas Fusion Center. This bill would require the governor to appoint an executive director of the commission, and his or her duties would be designated by the commission. The executive director would be the administrative officer of the commission and would be required to serve the commission by fostering cooperation between the installations and private and public sectors, forwarding proposals and evaluations to the governor, the legislature, and various state agencies, pursuing initiatives to enhance the quality of life for all military personnel, both active and retired, and performing other duties as necessary for the proper operation of the commission. A little bit of history with the council. Governor Graves directed the establishment of the ad hoc group to protect against the possible military downsizing of troops and force structure in the state of Kansas. In 2005, with the possibility of another base realignment looming on the horizon, Governor Sebelius signed Executive Order 0705, creating the Governor's Military Council. The council has changed over the last 21 years, but the purpose and focus has remained steady. The council serves as a key partner with local communities, administration, key legislators, members of Kansas congressional delegation, key business and military leaders to grow and optimize the military presence in Kansas, including recruitment and retention of new missions and force structure. The council fosters cooperation between the installations and private and public sectors and pursues initiatives to enhance the quality of life for all military personnel, active and retired. The council also assists in the development and coordination and execution of strategy required by any future changes in mission proposed by the Department of Defense. However, because the council exists solely through executive order, it lacks statutory permanence and long-term community continuity across administrations. HB 2767 addresses that gap by formally establishing the Kansas Military Affairs Commission in statute. And this statute will ensure a defined membership, legislative participation, accountability, and unified statewide strategy to protect and grow installations such as Fort Riley, Fort Leavenworth, and McConnell Air Force Base, and supports the National Guard and Reserve units across the state. Military activity in Kansas contributes approximately $10 to $12 billion annually to the Kansas economy and supports thousands of jobs across the state. Codifying this commission strengthens Kansas's ability to compete for future missions, advocate during potential federal realignment decisions, and to continue building on our reputation as a military-friendly state. According to the fiscal note, this would require an additional FTE. However, that FTE would not be new, as the current director of the Military Council would just slide into that position. And so it would not require an additional person. There would be a little bit increase due to some of the budgetary or the benefits that come along with it, but not much. With that, Mr. Chair, I stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? That the chair recognizes Representative Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The carrier of the bill did an excellent job explaining what the bill entails. It's a good bill. I support it, and I hope you will too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
For further discussion, the chair recognizes Representative Mosley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is like one time I'm gonna come up here and not be difficult. So I think this commission is fine. I worked in the governor's office, in appointments and am very versed on this committee, but a committee or whatever you want to call it now. My only thing is that there's no representation of the minority party from the members that are appointed to this commission. So I just have an amendment to add that it could be a minority leader from the Senate or minority leader from the House, because I do not care for committees that are very large, but I do think that that representation does matter, and that's all I'm asking for in this amendment. Thank you.
So the amendment appears short. Clerk will read.
I move to amend HB 2767 on page 1 in line 17 by striking 13 and inserting 15 in line 24 after 5 by inserting the minority leader of the Senate or the minority leader's designee, 6, minority leader of the House or the minority leader's designee, 7, and by redesignating subsections, paragraphs, subparagraphs, and clauses accordingly.
Okay, so we have an amendment. Does any member wish to speak to the amendment? The chair recognizes Representative Carlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of the amendment. I've noticed in the last couple of years, we seem to get in a hurry when we're creating boards and commissions, and oftentimes it's not spelled out that the minority party has a representative on those boards and commissions. And I don't think it's intentional. I think it's we're in a hurry. We just want to set it up. And in this case, I heard that, well, the governor can make that appointment one of hers, but I think it should actually come from the leadership of our party or the minority party, whatever that is. It might change. And I am full support of this because it's been overlooked in others. And I think we need to keep that in mind when we write our legislation. And the commission is a really good thing. It keeps us informed back and forth of the needs of one another. The bases are kind of a home of their own, and we need that connection with them. So I urge your support of the amendment and the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
For further discussion on the amendment, the chair recognizes Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also rise in support of the amendment to HB 2767. For the past several years, along with my friend and colleague from Kingman, who he's right there. He's Harvey the Rabbit, but he's here. But we've served on the State 911 Council and the State 911 Board together, as have a Democrat and a Republican from the Senate. And I can tell you from my experience that it makes the commission and the board better by having both parties involved in the activities. And it's not because two Democrats on the 911 board are going to change the outcome of any vote that we take, but it's because it gives an informed person from the minority party an opportunity to work with their caucus to inform them about what the board is doing and why it's a good idea and why we're doing the right thing. And in the end, it makes the council or the board stronger for involving members of the minority party. It's not a partisan deal. It's a deal about communicating to other members of the legislature what the board is doing and why. And so I think this is a good idea, and I therefore rise in support of this amendment. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak to the amendment? Representative Butler?
This is not a bad amendment, but I'll leave it up to the body to make the decision.
To speak to the amendment, the chair recognizes Representative Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of this amendment. For over 10 years, I attended many of these meetings as a staff person for a member of Congress, for two different members of Congress. And if there was one thing that our state did well, was advocating for our military men and women and our military installations. It brought us together in many ways, and we had a unified front. There's no doubt that we're going to go through another base realignment and closure process probably sometime in the future. That's when they're going to reassess our nation's military footprint and reevaluate which installations stay and which ones might go. So I rise in support of this because we need a unified front in advocating for our military men and women and the military installations across the state. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no further discussion on the amendment, Representative Mosley, you may close.
If my mother taught me anything, is to know when to shut up. So I will just say I move my amendment. Thank you.
You've heard the motion by Representative Mosley to amend. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Motion passes. We're back on the bill. For purposes of further discussion on the bill, the chair recognizes Representative Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of the underlying bill. I think this is a great idea. I just would be remiss if I didn't mention that we also are supposed to have a commission on Veterans Affairs, and that was systematically dismantled over the last decade to the point where now we've even changed the name to Office of Veteran Services. We should have commissioners focus specifically on veterans in addition to the active military and the Guard and current military members. And I hope that someday this body takes up rebuilding that commission, because those folks, those appointed advocates for our veterans, are sorely missed when we just have this council that's primarily focused on active duty stuff and only a director focused on veterans. So I hope someday the body will take this up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If there's no further discussion, Representative Butler, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the amendment. Thank you for the great discussion. Mr. Chair, I move when the body rises to report, it reports House Bill 2767 as amended favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion by Representative Butler to report House Bill 2767 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Motion passes. The next order of business is Senate Bill 33. For the purpose of carrying Senate Bill 33, the chair recognizes Representative Adam Smith to adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, there were committee amendments, and I move adoption of the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes and the committee report is adopted.
I love the enthusiasm. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Body Senate Bill 33 might look a little bit familiar to you. It's very similar to House Bill 2377 that passed last year on a vote of 118 to 0. This takes a look at the apportionment formula for the county, the general sales tax at the county level that has to be shared between the county and all the cities. Sedgwick County brought this bill to our attention last year because they were wanting to cut their property taxes, but they quickly realized that the existing formula in law right now actually has kind of a counterintuitive effect. It rewards the local governments that raise their property taxes. It allows them to receive more sales tax. So last year, Sedgwick County had proposed a new formula that was based on valuation. When we looked at the impact of transitioning from one formula to another, it had a negative impact on some of the cities and counties, had a positive impact on others. So we chose last year to delay or basically freeze the apportionment formula for 1 year and allow the cities and counties to kind of create a new formula that they could agree on. Well, here we are. We're into March. No formula has been presented as a bill or or presented to the committee. So we need this bill because the freeze expires at the end of this year. If nothing happens, we just go back to the current formula that's in statute that rewards those cities and counties that raise their property taxes. They get more of the sales tax revenue. So this bill freezes the formula for one more year. But then it also adopts the formula that's based on valuation. It's 50% on population, 50% on the assessed valuation. That may not be the perfect way to do it, but we wanted to include that rather than just doing another year delay, we wanted to put something in there that if they don't like the formula, that forces them to create something new. Otherwise, automatically the new formula takes effect. So I have heard that there's some work being done on a new formula, so we will look forward to seeing what that proposal is next year. But that is essentially the bill, and I would be happy to stand for questions.
Is there further discussion? The chair recognizes Representative Sawyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The chairman did a good job explaining the bill. I support the bill. We should not incentivize cities and counties to raise property taxes. We need to come up with a formula that fairly distributes the sales tax, but doesn't reward them for increasing property taxes.
If there's no further discussion, Representative Smith, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that when the body rises and reports, it reports Senate Bill 33 favorable for passage.
You've heard the motion by Representative Smith to report Senate Bill 33 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion passes. Next order of business is Senate Bill 335. For the purpose of carrying Senate Bill 335, the chair recognizes Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There were no committee amendments.
Please continue.
Senate Bill 335 passed the Senate 37-2 with no amendments. Senate Bill 335 is an act concerning only public construction contracts, amending the Kansas Fairness and Public Construction Contract Act to include a mutual waiver of consequential damages. This waiver prevents indirect damage beyond completion, such as loss of future revenues, loss of business, staff time, goodwill, loss of reputation, etc. These damages are difficult to predict and impossible to quantify. This promotes a more stable and predictable contractual relationship where the contractor is not pricing unknown risks into their bids. Direct damage, such as quality issues, untimely schedule completions, or other project concerns, are not affected. These direct items should be addressed within the contract where risk is assigned, damages monetarily captured, and agreed to during the bid contract phase, usually within a liquidated damage clause. The most widely used governmental and private construction contracting form is the AIA, Architects Form A201, and a waiver is already included in that. With that, I will stand for questions, Mr. Chair.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Sawyer Clayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And while I have a lot of respect for the carrier of the bill, and he did a good job describing what it does, while I do like the carrier, I dislike this legislation. One of the main problems that this has is that it removes an important legal tool that's used to basically recover indirect costs incurred as a result of this contractor breach. And that costs taxpayers money. So one of the main charges that we have as legislators is to pay attention to the best interests of those that we serve. And I think that we can all agree that costing taxpayers money is less than ideal, especially in this time when we have a lot of folks that we are supporting that are struggling with affordability. While my heart goes out to those construction companies, my duty lies with protecting the taxpayers, and so I will be opposing this bill. Thank you.
For further discussion, the chair recognizes Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the body. The bill before us today, it amends Chapter 16 that deals with construction contracts. This gives us a great opportunity to further strengthen this law by allowing policies that ensure our Kansas top quality contractors who choose to employ highly skilled local craftsmen have the ability to compete for work and sustain their businesses. It cannot be expressed enough how important it is to the working middle class of the construction trades that an additional measure be added to this legislation. And that, with that, Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment. Amongst all my papers here.
The amendment appears long. Clerk will read. Yep. Oh. Representative Curtis, would you care to explain your amendment?
Sure, I'd be happy to further explain it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment will strengthen this bill by allowing cities and counties to include wage and compensation requirements in their own public construction contracts. One of the best ways that we can help our states, local communities be successful is by allowing local government officials the ability to adopt policies that fit the nature of their local community and that are supported by their citizens. Prevailing wage laws do not have a major impact on government contracting costs. They do, however, support a highly skilled and safe construction workforce that delivers construction projects more cost efficiently and improves the overall economic health of our communities. Hiring local workforce, those dollars stay in Kansas. So with this measure, we will be improving this legislation and we will help keep those dollars and that investment in our state. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does any member wish to speak to the amendment? Chair recognizes Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you'll just give us a minute to continue to review the amendment.
We will stand by. And while we're doing that, does anybody else wish to speak to the amendment? Chair will continue to recognize Representative Curtis to speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As they're reviewing the amendment, I can give you a little history. Kansas has a long history of being a model. It was in 1891. Kansas was the first state to pass a prevailing wage for its own public works projects, and many other states followed, and that still remains today. There have been numerous studies that have shown that this requirement does not change the cost of construction. In fact, most of those projects that are paid with a good prevailing wage, they are delivered ahead of schedule and under budget. And we know that the quality of the workmanship is something that will last us for years. So this is a good investment, and I hope that you will vote in favor of this amendment.
All right, to speak to the amendment, the chair recognizes Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to challenge the germaneness of the amendment.
Germaneness has been challenged. Rules Committee will address the challenge. Would the Rules Chair make a ruling on the germaneness of the amendment? Chair recognizes Representative Humphries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So thank you for your patience. This was a little complicated, and we had to really look at what does the bill say. We even had to pull out the statutes books, which I love because that's the way to do this, is to make sure we're doing it correctly and see what it is that we're actually amending and what did the amendment say. So it did take us a little bit of time. There was a good discussion. Not everyone is in complete agreement, but of course, what the Rules Chair has decided is that the amendment is not germane, but I would like to explain just a little bit. It does expand the scope of the bill. The bill is talking about damages. The amendment is talking about a prevailing wage. And it does introduce an independent question that we didn't have in the bill. It does change the object of the original bill. And it makes a change in the title, which in and of itself is not dispositive, but it's just a factor that we look at, and the title was changed. So really, in looking at what does the bill do, what does the amendment do, I would say that and with most of the committee agreeing that the amendment is not germane to the bill. Thank you.
We're back on the bill. Chair recognizes Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would like to challenge the ruling of the Rules Committee on germaneness. And okay, we're back on Committee of the Whole. I was just going to make a comment about germaneness king. So thank you.
Okay, the ruling of the Rules Chair has been challenged. I will remind the body that this is a debatable motion and is only debated by the following people: Representative King, member carrying the measure to be amended, Representative Curtis, Majority Leader, and the Minority Leader, or your representative. Okay. Representative Tarwater. Okay. Member making the motion to amend, Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and body. I would hope that you will agree with me that this bill is germane, or I'm sorry, that this amendment is germane. The amendment is germane to Senate Bill 335 due to these reasons. Both amend the same act, KSA 16-1901. Both address the same what terms public entities may include in public construction contracts. SB 335 addresses consequential damage waiver terms. The amendment addresses wage and compensation terms. Both operate within the same statutory framework, the same chapter, and the same subject matter: the rights and obligations of parties to public construction contracts. So this amendment is germane, and I hope you will agree with me.
Chair recognizes Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would hope that we would vote yes to sustain the ruling of the Rules Chair.
Chair recognizes Representative Tarwater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we always support our Rules Chair here, 100%, whether we like it or not. But I think the ruling was right. They are not in the same chapter, by the way. I don't know where that came from. But let me just tell you what the underlying amendment might do. We talk about efficiency up here all the time. This would effectively make it so that our buildings that are being built would cost 20 to 30% more because of the way the amendment is. And, we've got a lot of work. We've got a lot of big buildings being built. We've got a lot, and the chiefs are coming to town. I don't think we want to add 30% to the cost of that construction project. And there is plenty of work to go around. The unions are very busy. They like what we're doing up here, and there's plenty of work to go around for everyone. We need everyone to go to work in Kansas, and this would stop that from happening. Thank you.
Next, for further debate, the chair recognizes Representative Sawyer Clayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, with respect to the previous speaker, I haven't been gaslit that hard since I was married. Guys, here's one thing that we need to keep in mind here is that, first of all, the discussion is not about what the amendment does. This is a discussion about whether we should overrule the ruling of the Rules Chair. And in this case, while we did have a respectable conversation, we are in disagreement with her. When we are talking about the merit of the actual amendment, it is also worth keeping in mind, I made a little joke about this during our discussion, but honestly, when we are looking at these potential damages that could occur, one of the best ways to mitigate damage and to make sure that the taxpayers, again, that is who this is about, are getting quality work, is by making sure that our workers are being given the correct and proper wage that is appropriate to the market. If you want quality work, if you want to mitigate any sort of damages or any sort of issues, that would be a good reason to support the amendment. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to vote on that. We do believe that this is germane. We would ask you to vote no so that we can continue this important debate, which for reasons I have yet to ascertain has been evaded for over a decade here on this floor. And so we should be having a hearing on this, but here we are resorting to this tactic, and it is a major issue. I do think that we should at least be having a hearing. Vote no on this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That concludes debate on the germaneness ruling. As a reminder, a yes vote will sustain the ruling of the chair. A no vote will overturn the ruling. The question arises, shall the chairperson's ruling be sustained? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes appear to have it. Division has been called. Clerk will open the roll. Seeing 15 hands, a roll call is in order. Has every member had the opportunity to vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member wish to change their vote? 78 having voted in favor and 34 against the motion. Motion passes. Clerk will record the vote. We're back on the bill. Okay, the chair recognizes Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no more comments on this. What else is
There's no further discussion. Representative King, you may close.
Okay. When the Mr. Chair, I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports Senate Bill 335 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion by Representative King to report Senate Bill 335 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Motion passes. This concludes our general orders. The chair recognizes the majority leader.
Mr. Chair, I move we rise and report.
You've heard the motion to rise and report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes.
The clerk will read the committee report.
Mr. Speaker, your committee of the whole recommends that SB 335 be passed, HB 2767, SB 33 be passed as amended.
The Speaker recognizes Representative Beeler to adopt the committee of the whole report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move adoption of the committee of the whole report.
You've heard the motion to adopt the committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The committee report is adopted. The Speaker recognizes Majority Leader Croft for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Rule 2311, I move that an emergency be declared and House Bill 2767, House substitute for Senate Bill 33, and Senate Bill 335 be advanced to that order of business. Final action on bills and concurrent resolutions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Final action, the clerk will read.
House Bill 2767 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning veterans and military relating to commissions, establishing the Kansas Military Affairs Commission, prescribing the powers and duties thereof.
This constitutes final action on House Bill 2767. The clerk will open the roll. You may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing 10 hands, calls in order. Dorman will secure the doors, and the clerk will read the roll.
Estes, Hubert, Neighbor, Roser, El Ruiz, Slingesheepen, Sutton, and Wynn.
Representative Hubert votes aye. Representative Estes votes aye. Representative Sutton votes aye. Not seeing 10 hands, calls raised. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing none, with 115 having voted in favor and 3 against the passage of House Bill 2767, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The clerk will read.
H sub for sub SB 33 by Committee on Taxation, an act concerning sales and compensating use tax relating to countywide retailer sales tax, providing that countywide retailer sales tax is apportioned based on total assessed valuations of the county and cities within the county rather than property taxes levied.
This constitutes final action on Senate Bill 33. The clerk will open the roll. You may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Mosley votes no. Representative Chuck Smith votes aye. Any further changes? Seeing none. With 107 having voted in favor and 11 against the passage of Senate Bill 33, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The clerk will read.
SB 335 by Senator Schallenberger, an act concerning public construction contracts, amending the Kansas Fairness in Public Construction Contract Act, requiring such contracts to include a mutual waiver of consequential damages.
This constitutes final action on Senate Bill 335. The clerk will open the roll. You may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing none, with 84 having voted in favor and 34 against the passage of Senate Bill 335, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The Speaker recognizes Majority Leader Croft for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Rule 2306, I move Senate Bill 51 be withdrawn from the calendar under the order of business general orders and be referred to the Committee on Legislative Modernization.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it, and the ayes do have it. The motion carries. Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
The Committee on Financial Institutions and Pensions recommends SB 300 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Financial Institutions and Pensions recommends SB 331 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Federal Institutions and Pensions recommends SB 410 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Financial Institutions and Pensions recommends SB 39 as amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Financial Institution and Pensions recommends SB 412 as amended and the bill be passed as amended. The Committee on Transportation recommends SB 445 be passed. The Committee on Health and Human Services recommends SB 327 as amended by Senate Committee be passed.
Senate Bill 284 is withdrawn from the Committee on Interstate Cooperation and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. House Bill 2009 is withdrawn from the Committee on Interstate Cooperation and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. House Bill 2010 is withdrawn from the Committee on Interstate Cooperation and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. House Bill 2375 is withdrawn from the Committee on Interstate Cooperation and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. Senate Bill 431 is withdrawn from the Committee on Insurance and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. House Bill 2600 is withdrawn from the Committee on Interstate Cooperation and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. HCR 5026 is withdrawn from the Committee on Interstate Cooperation and referred to the Committee on Federal and State Affairs. House Bill 2785 is withdrawn from the Committee on Health and Human Services and referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Senate Bill 360 is withdrawn from the Committee on Health and Human Services and referred to the Committee on Insurance. House Bill 2551 is withdrawn from the Committee on Health and Human Services and referred to the Committee on Insurance. House Bill 2244 is withdrawn from the Committee on Health and Human Services and referred to the Committee on Insurance. House Bill 2157 is withdrawn from the Committee on Insurance and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. House Bill 2100 is withdrawn from the Committee on Insurance and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. House Bill 2695 is withdrawn from the Committee on Insurance and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. House Bill 2369 is withdrawn from the Committee on Insurance and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. Senate Bill 328 is withdrawn from the Committee on Insurance and referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. Okay, are there announcements? Representative Hoheisel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Quick reminder, tonight is the Pickin' and Grinnin'. It's the annual thing, music, food. It's over going to be at Celtic Fox from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. There's rumblings that a former House rep and now a state senator may be playing his guitar there as well. So definitely come out. It's always a good time. One other thing. Last week, I was tasked with helping to collect money for Special Olympics. And after that announcement was made, an individual came to me with a check. Because he was very, very passionate about this program. He's the first one to write a check to it this year, and that was John Resman. And I remembered Monday night, I still had his check in my desk, and it's probably the last check he ever wrote, and he wrote it to Special Olympics, which is a very, very worthy cause and something that he loved and was very passionate about, especially with his daughter with special needs. That check was for $250. So in my caucus today, we laid it out. I laid it out as a challenge. We're going to try to, as much as we can, match that $250 if you guys are able to. We're going to bundle it all together in one memorial fund to donate to the Special Olympics in John Resman's honor. So if anybody, if you're able to and willing, I'm accepting all the donations to that. I'm going to get gavel down. I'm using a prop here, so I have to pay a fine for it. But I've got the envelope that I put John's check in when he originally gave it to me, and we're going to stick it all in the envelope and donate it in John's honor to Special Olympics. So if anybody's interested in that, come find me, and I'll accept that on your behalf for John. So with that, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Stockstill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Democrats, on Monday, March 9th, we will have agenda at 8:30. Monday, March 9th, 8:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There's been some amendment speak buttons. I'm assuming you guys want to speak for announcements. So Representative Adam Smith.
Thank you, A, for announcements, right? But just wanted to make a quick agenda change notice for today. House tax, we will be working Senate Bill 434 After what we did yesterday on House Bill 2005, we're going to try to speed the process up and put that into a Senate shell. So Senate Bill 434 is not on the agenda to work out of the tax committee on the official agenda. So I want to make that announcement. We will be addressing that bill, Senate Bill 434. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Speaker recognizes Representative Schreiber.
I don't know how that got there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To follow on, the representative from Wichita, I appreciate him coming up here and making that announcement. Also, it's just under 3 weeks until the shrimp peel. We're still in need of auction items. So as you go home this weekend, bring items back from your district or something that you think might be a good auction item to raise more money for Kansas Special Olympics. And you can drop them off at my office. You can find Sean Miller out in the lobby somewhere or around the Capitol and give them to him, and we'll get all those set up. So appreciate all your help with this. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker recognizes Representative Goddard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Southeast Kansas Legislative Caucus will meet immediately upon adjournment in room 582 North. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Speaker recognizes Speaker Hawkins.
It's really fun coming from that desk over here. What a pleasure. I want to say I'm going to meet that challenge of the 250, but if you don't mind, could I wait until I see what the three amigos and the two deputies or amigas decide to levy against me in the form of fines, because I would be surprised if it's not much more than $250. Especially knowing this gentleman over here, he writes down everything he can on me. So I do think it's a great thing. But I'm going to hold off until I figure out how much they're going to levy against me. Thank you. That's what I'm afraid of.
Speaker recognizes Representative Essex.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just want to draw your attention to the right side of the room over here. We have some special guests. They're exchange students in the Olathe School District from Germany, Spain, and Italy. So go say hello. Thank you.
Seeing no further announcements, the Speaker recognizes Majority Leader for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All right. As I talked the other day, many of you guys know that I tried to take the book and the flowers back to the family and talked to his wife, John's wife, and she said that she wanted us to donate the flowers to others and asked that any group or anybody that wants to donate or give stuff, they asked that you do to Special Olympics. You already heard, if you want to do it that way or directly to them in his name, they would appreciate that. She asked me to leave the book back there, so I did not deliver the book yesterday. The book is still here. She asked me to add a second book because the book is full. So their son is going to be flying in from Australia on Friday, next Friday, not this one. And they wanted to be able to come up, pick it up from the desk, take the things, close out his office. So you'll see the office is still there. The books are still there. You could still go in and put some stuff there. The Speaker Pro Tem also has the cover sheet going to be back there from the last bill that he co-authored or co-signed on. So all of that's going on. I just wanted you to be aware of all the stuff that's happening and don't think we're ignoring it, but you do have more time to write some more stories if you want to. Also, reference the donations or really the fines that are coming. We have this little thing right here, and since it's not debate, it'll be a little bit bigger, and this is something we had in the military where it's a special award when you're the award winner for your fees. So we're going to create this for you to be able to put on somebody's desk that is the highest person on the awards. I don't know who might be somebody over here that's calmer today. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move the House adjourn until Friday, March 6th at 11 a.m. pro forma.
You've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. We are adjourned.